Good morning. It's Tuesday, April 11th. The other day I discussed one conundrum, and today I want to discuss another conundrum. This is a major conundrum, and I don't know how we can possibly answer the question that I am about to throw out there. This conundrum deals with inflation, and how we as a society can get it under control, and how we as a society can possibly survive the effects of this inflation. The answer to this question is particularly difficult because of the way this inflation occurred and the time that this inflation occurred made this a major nightmare. When we look at the various causes of this inflation, they seem to contradict one another, and that will cause us very difficult situations in order for us to get out from under this inflationary period. So I believe that I am like most people. When they talk about inflation, the first thing I think about is the rise in prices. And to give you an example, I used to buy a frozen duck at Costco, and it came with a half a duck cut in half, so it was two quarters of a duck, and that used to cost me $8 roughly. Now it's $19. And that's since the start of this inflationary period in the beginning of 2020. So the price of that duck has gone up by 300%. So when we look at that time period, what was happening in this country 2 years ago, then we can put all these pieces together and possibly understand why the duck went up by 3 times its beginning price. And first of all, we should take a look at the average worker. Businesses are scrambling to find workers. And when that happened, they had to pay more. They had to increase the wages of all these workers, right? So we had a wage price spiral. Now, once you start increasing the wages of your employees, you've got to recover that money somehow or other. So naturally, the first thing that happens is we start looking around our business and deciding, what are we going to charge our customers? We've now increased the wages of the employees, so now we're going to raise the prices in order to cover the cost of labor. And what happened to the labor people at that point in time? Yes, they got a price increase. They got a wage increase. But that wage increases is being eaten up by the cost of inflation, by the mere fact that employers have to keep up with the increasing prices. Now that goes through the entire chain. It's not just your workers who's had an increase that you have to worry about. It's all the workers that work in conjunction with your company. And all of those people are getting higher prices. So all of the different costs that go into running a business are going up. So higher labor costs means increasing prices. And increasing prices means inflation. And inflation means changes in the interest rates. And that's another factor. So when the rate of getting money goes up, then the cost of goods goes up along with that too. And if we throw in all the different pieces that are associated with running a business, there's rent and there's taxes, okay? And then there are many other things. So we have found that inflation has outstripped the wage growth for 22 consecutive months. And that's calculated by economists. All kinds of economists have worked on that kind of accounting, on figuring out why we're struggling with this inflationary period. Well, it's obvious. I got a raise in pay, but all the cost of goods and everything I do has gone up with that. So I haven't gotten a real raise. So my wage growth is behind inflation and falling further and further behind inflation. And we're never, ever going to get this wage price spiral down pat. So the best we can ever hope for is wages are high enough that inflation is potentially in balance of some kind. So if we look at the consumer price index over the past year or so, it exceeded 8% for the first time in a long time. And it was lingering at 6% for a while, and it's back lingering at 6% now. But take a look at the price of gas. When the inflation started up back in 2020, the price of gas was a little under $2, I remember. And then we reached $5 in the middle of this whole thing. And now it's cooled down, so now it's about $3.50. But again, no control over that. As far as you're concerned, you got a raise. But everything went up, so I really didn't get a raise. I'm still sitting on the edge of a razor blade, so to speak, because I can't catch up. I can't get ahead of the game. You know, there was a time when 5 or 6% raise was considered good because inflation was much lower. That's not true anymore. Now you probably need a 10 or 15% raise to keep up with inflation. So what good is the fact that you're going to get a raise when everything around you is going up because of inflation? What we really need to do is figure out a way to keep inflation at roughly 2%. If we can keep inflation at roughly 2%, then we will have a fighting chance to stay ahead of the game. And think about the interest rates. I don't know where they are right now because I'm not getting big interest in my bank account anymore that I know of. So even though wage growth is running about 5%, that's not consistent when inflation is 6 or 7%. That won't help you one bit. So this is a gigantic challenge because you've got the cost of borrowing money, the cost of delivering goods, the cost of manufacturing everything, the cost of buying and selling and everything that goes along with it. So just getting a raise is only a small piece of what we have to fight in order to keep inflation under control. So I'll leave you with that this morning. A never-ending battle. And from what I could see, most employees will be on the short end of the stick. Have a great day. Bye.